The way I haven't posted a video in over 4 months is actually so crazy, you guys. And when I tell you that the universe has been putting me through it, you guys, like really and truly. But anyways, I'm back now. And honestly, I feel like while I've been gone, a lot has happened in the worlds of K-pop and fashion. And like, do you guys see what happens when I'm not here to report on everything that's happening? You guys, like what's going on? Like, you guys don't know what's going on. You guys don't know what the vibe is. No one's giving you the inside scoop. So yeah, thankfully I'm back now. Shout out to me. Give some cheers for Kevin, you guys. And to ease back up to it and to play a little bit of catch up, I thought it would be fun to do the video that I really like to do best, and you guys know I always like to do, which is my Fashion Week roundup. This time it's gonna be a little bit different because I feel like usually I'll do a Fashion Week roundup, like Milan Fashion Week video, and then I'll do a Paris Fashion Week video. But this time I'm just gonna combine them all together because one, I don't really feel like a lot was happening during this past Men's Fashion Month. Like a lot of shows didn't happen. And two, I just want to combine everything together because I can just do one long yap video without having to edit too much, because honestly, coming back to like making videos and everything, it's honestly, I've been so lazy and I don't want to edit. So I'm just going to do all in one video, try to do as little editing as possible, just do my yapping. But yeah, so this is going to be my Men's Fashion Week recap or Fashion Month recap of all the shows that happened. We're going to talk about all the K-pop idols that attended the shows, what they were wearing, what happened at the shows, what I thought about what they were wearing, you know, just like kind of industry stuff like that. Make sure to subscribe because like I said, there is no one like me, like fashion alt, like Kevin, that is making videos teaching you guys all about the worlds of K-pop and fashion. Starting with Milan Fashion Week, we have Sana from Twice, who attended the Prada Fall Winter 25 menswear show. And she actually looked so good this time, you guys. If you guys watched my previous videos, you guys know that I haven't really been the biggest fan of Sana's looks recently, or like at any of the fashion shows, or like Twice in general, if I'm being very honest with you guys. But this time she actually looked so good, you guys. Like she looked so good. So let's look at what she wore. So she kind of wore this all brown getup with this super mini leather dress, like super, super mini, you guys. And kind of like the midsection of the dress was kind of corseted, which is like a fun little detail. So it's kind of in like that brown distressed leather that Prada's been doing recently. And then over top of that, she wore this kind of like brown suede jacket. And then she also has like the brunette hair. And normally I find that, what's interesting about this look is that normally I find that when idols wear like all brown, or like when anyone wears all brown, it actually, like to me, it never really looks like the greatest. It never really looks good. But for some reason, when Sana wore this look, it looks really good on her. I think maybe it has to do with, I don't know, like maybe like her color tone or something like that, where it's like really working like that all brown kind of palette. Or maybe it's because like the brown, there's different textures and different depths of the brown, like the light suede brown jacket and like the darker like distressed brown leather dress. And then her hair has like another dimension of the brown. I don't know, but I feel like this time like wearing all brown actually looks so good. She looked really good at the show. But yeah, like shout out to Sana one time. Honestly, you guys, like I'm loving this look on her. Like look how good it looks on her. Like stunning, love this. And then she wore like the Prada, like the heels and like the tights or whatever. But yeah, like she wore this all brown look, and I'm actually kind of like, it actually has me a little bit gagged, I'm not gonna lie, you guys. But yeah, so that was the Prada show, and then she also wore like this kind of like brown belt bag that Prada's been trying to do, or like trying to do. And honestly, like the more I see it, like the more I don't mind. I'm kind of like into it recently, but yeah, she looks great, you guys. And what was interesting about Milan Fashion Week, actually, you guys, is that Prada was like the only like big brand that showed it during Milan Fashion Week, other than like maybe Armani. So Prada showed, and like, so like for example, it's like some brands that didn't show that typically show in Milan are Gucci didn't show, which was like a big one that was missing. Bottega Veneta also didn't show. Moschino didn't show. And I feel like maybe like Ferragamo didn't show either. So a lot of the big Milan shows didn't show this time. So I felt like kind of empty. And like I said, that's why I wanted to combine this all into one video. But honestly, even though Prada was like the only big show that happened and Sana is like the only idol that attended the Prada show, it was honestly doing it for me. Like that was enough for me from Milan. But it was also interesting too because I feel like usually like Enhypen is so into Prada, or like Prada loves Enhypen, they have them at like every show. And like this time they weren't at the show and they didn't really have any other, or at least I don't think they had a conflicting schedule, so I'm not sure why they didn't attend the show. And of course, like Jaehan, another Prada ambassador, he's in the army, so he couldn't attend the show. But yeah, like this time it felt a little bit more subdued. But so, because I feel like not a lot of people attended the show, like Sana was really able to like have the spotlight, and honestly, she looked so good. So yeah, shout out to Prada, shout out to Sana, and that's the only show from Milan. What do you guys think of her look? Let me know. Okay, moving on to Paris Fashion Week Men's, which was definitely a little bit more eventful than Milan Fashion Week because a lot more shows happened, a lot more K-pop idols were in attendance. And when I say a lot, it wasn't even that many. It was just more so than Milan, which was like one K-pop idol, right? So I'm just gonna start with Hongjoong from Ateez. And the thing with Hongjoong is that I feel like for this season, he's kind of continuing this vibe where he's attending like the more indie shows. He's doing like all these like smaller shows. So this season he went to Paul Smith and he went to Jacquemus, which I'll talk about a little bit after. But yeah, which is interesting. I just want to mention that because I feel like every season so far, Ateez in general and like Hongjoong have been kind of doing like the smaller shows. They don't really attend like super big A-list top tier shows. They kind of more do these kind of more like indie shows, which I guess lets them attend more shows separately as opposed to just like, I feel like a lot of the times when K-pop idols attend these bigger shows, they have kind of exclusivity to only attend that show and they don't really get to go to other ones. Whereas Hongjoong, for example, whenever he attends Fashion Week, he actually gets to go to more than one show. Like last season, he went to Vivienne Westwood and he went to like one more, I don't remember. But this season, he went again to 2 shows, which was always fun to see him in different looks. But yeah, so starting with Hongjoong, like I said, I'm going to first talk about when he attended the Jacquemus show, which was a fun sight actually. So he attended the Jacquemus show, and this Jacquemus show was interesting because I feel like in terms of the show's aesthetic, in terms of the brand, it was a little bit more of a departure than what we've usually come to expect from Jacquemus. I feel like for Jacquemus, we usually expect this kind of more like south of France, kind of this very airy, fun, kind of like abstract kind of vibe. But this time it was very like subdued. It was very like pared down. And so Hongjoong's look for the show was kind of reflected that. Like I'll show you what he's wearing. So he's wearing this kind of, like he wore all black, which is very surprising to me. So he wore a shearling jacket, a very classic shearling jacket, wool trousers, dress shoes, and then like a cardigan. Wasn't the most like interesting look, I'm gonna say no, but did it all fit very nicely? Like, yeah, it did. It was fine. Then he wore sunglasses and then he had the blonde hair, which is like a nice touch, a nice contrast to the all black look. And then he wore like this big like bag like thing, which kind of resembles like the Coach Empire bag or like the Robe Margot bag. But yeah, that was his look. It was a little bit more subdued. I think this is his first show for Jacquemus, which is an interesting thing. And then he was like the only idol at the Jacquemus show. I was surprised Jennie didn't go to the Jacquemus show because, you know, the besties, but Hongjoong is the new bestie of Jacquemus. But in terms of his look, I don't know, like it just wasn't, it didn't really wow me. Not that every look has to wow me, but I feel like for Hongjoong and I feel like for Jacquemus, it was kind of like a little bit more subtle. Which, I don't know, I feel like I don't know how I feel about that yet, you know what I mean? Because I feel like Jacquemus is such a fun brand, and I feel like Hongjoong is the type of person that can wear these like very loud, like extravagant looks, but for some reason, both of them kind of like decided to pare down for the season, which I guess was a surprise in a way, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought of his look for that. And then he also attended the Paul Smith show or like presentation or whatever. He wore this kind of green tailor look, and which the thing with Paul Smith is that Paul Smith is like a British or like a, yeah, like I guess like a British brand. And they're more focused on like these kind of tailoring menswear pieces that are like very classic, very sartorial. And that's the exact look we got. And he wore this kind of like all green, deep forest green look, which is very on trend. I feel like forest green is very like, that's the color every brand is doing right now. But yeah, very classically fitting suit. And then he wore like underneath, he wore kind of like a lighter green shade of tie and dress shirt, and then he had the kind of like coiffed hair, very suave, very like sartorial, very tailored, you know, kind of goes with the whole aesthetic. I don't know, Paul Smith is just like very like whatever to me, honestly. It doesn't really give, I feel like for me, like at this point, Paul Smith doesn't really give like fashion with a capital F, you know what I mean? Like every season it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of like suits, tailoring, this and that, this and that, this and that in kind of different contexts. But yeah, like I guess it was fun to see him, or like fun to see Hongjoong wear, like go to a different kind of show. And it's also always fun to see him like go to multiple shows as opposed to just one, you know, but yeah, like that was kind of Hongjoong for the season. Another member of Ateez who attended Paris Fashion Week was Songhwa, who attended the Songzio Fall Winter 25 menswear show. And his look, again, you guys, the thing with Songhwa is that I feel like they always love to put him in these kind of like over the top, like very attention grabbing looks. So this time he wore this like very like dramatic like leather number outfit where like everything was leather, like different variations of leather, leather cuts, leather shapes. So let's go through it one by one, you guys. So first he wore this kind of like cropped leather jacket thing with kind of like these cutout sleeves. And under that he wore this kind of like fringe, kind of cutout leather like turtleneck thing that was kind of paneled. It was like kind of strips of leather that were disconnected in the midsection and then connected all the way at the bottom. And then he wore this kind of leather skirt situation at the bottom, like skirt with like over top like a pant. Honestly, a lot of leather layers. And the thing with Songhwa is that I feel like they're always trying to put him in these like very dramatic looks, you guys. Like every fashion week, it's always something with him, you guys. Which honestly, like I feel like I prefer that because like I always say, you guys, like I'm more into like a dramatic trying to do look rather than like a boring look, you know what I mean? So I feel like the thing with his look is that like I feel like what really caught my attention of his look was like the hair. Like the hair was giving me very like that kind of like Tokyo Ghoul anime character vibes where it was like that kind of like purplish, ashy, kind of silver, grayish kind of look. Like that really like caught my attention. That really kind of like put the whole look together. It kind of gave very like anime character vibes. The K-pop idol outfit from this season that I really, really liked and was probably like my top look from the entire season was Sunwoo from the Boyz, who attended the Amiri Fall Winter 25 menswear show. And I feel like this combo of Sunwoo and Amiri is a combo that I feel like I've unexpectedly grown to love every single season, you guys. Like every single season, they consistently just do it really, really well. Like the outfits Sunwoo styles in every scene is really good. And like the shows from Amiri itself, every single season are really, really good. Like really, really good to the point that I feel like people are not giving Amiri enough credit for the collections, you guys. So anyways, taking it back to this season, so Sunwoo wore this kind of like all red getup, which I think looked really good on him. So he wore this kind of like super bold red leather jacket, like kind of like zip up leather jacket with these kind of like white embroideries that look really well done. It has like the right white stems of the florals and then this kind of like floral embroideries all across it. But yeah, like the jacket looks really nice. It fits him really, really well. And then underneath he's wearing this kind of like bedazzled kind of like knit top that looks really good. And then for the trousers, oh, the trousers fit him so well, you guys. It's these kind of more cigarette-like trousers that kind of have this kind of like sparkly, maybe like embroidery or like piping like throughout the leg. And then he's wearing, I don't know, like these kind of like dress shoes or boots or whatever. But anyways, his hairstyle is really well. The overall look fits him really well. The proportions of the look really good. And that's the thing with Amiri, I find, you guys. I find that Amiri as a brand is a brand that's doing this kind of like really like ultra luxe Miami Vice look very well in like a non-tacky way. Because I feel like a lot of the time these kind of like bedazzled, like sparkly, this and that, over the top, like sequin embroidery thing, it can very easily like go left and look really tacky. But I feel like Amiri does it in like a very tasteful way. And when they put it on Sunwoo, it looks so good. Like I feel like Sunwoo is like the perfect canvas for it because it just never looks over the top. It never looks overdone. It never looks like too much. It just looks like really, really good. It looks really luxe. It looks really expensive. So yeah, like I said, I feel like every season, I just like really look forward to it. And every season, they consistently do it really well, you guys. Like, oh, I honestly need to support Amiri and like buy something from the brand. The runway show I most want to talk about from this season has to be the Louis Vuitton Fall Winter 25 menswear show because the most happened at the show, you guys. Like the utter most happened at the show. The most K-pop idols attended, just the most happened. Let's start with going through each of the looks, you guys. So first we have GOT7 besties, Jackson Wang, and then we have BamBam who attended the Louis Vuitton show, and then we also had J-Hope from BTS attended Louis Vuitton, which was also very major because it was his first show since getting discharged from the military. But let's go through each of the looks one by one. Starting with Jackson Wang, I feel like his look was like very good on top, but then at the bottom it kind of went a little bit left. So on top, he wore this like really cool cardigan with really cool detailing. So at the pocket, it had these kind of like corner pocket embroidery, which is a really cool touch. And then along kind of like the placket of the cardigan, it had the Louis Vuitton like kind of street side embroidery type of thing that looked really cool in like that kind of gold thread against the black. There was like a lot of contrast there. And then he wore this like one glove that kind of had like a built-in ring, or maybe he wore the ring separately. So the top half looks really good. And then he wore this kind of like mock neck. And then for the hairstyling, he has the kind of a classically good looking, suave, like slicked back hair. So the top like area was kind of like, it was a good like 8 out of 10 for me. But then I feel like I said, the bottom is where I kind of went left a little bit in my opinion. So for the bottom, he wore these kind of like cropped bell bottom kind of ish jeans, it looks like, or just kind of like cropped jeans in general. The thing with the jeans is that I feel like it hit him at like a very weird point. It was too long to be jorts, but then it was like too short to be like jeans, you know what I mean? So the over proportion of the jeans at the bottom made him kind of look like a little bit stubbier or like a little bit shorter than he actually is, which is like not the most flattering in my opinion. Like I feel like the jeans were just like an awkward length. I mean, it could have worked had the boots he wore been a little bit chunkier or like a little bit more high rise. But the thing is, I feel like because like the jeans ended like at its kind of like half calf area and then like the boots started right there, it kind of like was not the most like well thought out proportion in my opinion, at least. Let me know what you guys think of that. But yeah, overall his look, I feel like the top half was like a good 8 out of 10. The bottom half was like, I'll give it like a 4, if that, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So take a look at his look and let me know what you guys thought of his look. In my opinion, he's definitely had better looks for Louis Vuitton. This was not my favorite. And it did not help that it was like all black. And then moving on to BamBam's look. I feel like BamBam's look, he's always wearing something like interesting, but he's always like wearing a crop jacket, I find. So for this season, he had like his like red really bold red hair, kind of like stringy kind of style with like the gel style, like slicked back, which is fun. And then he wore this kind of like sheer turn-on thing with the Louis Vuitton embroidery, which is probably the nicest detail from his outfit. And then the suit itself, I feel like the suit was kind of like, it was okay, like not my favorite cut of suit for the top. The top was this kind of like double-breasted cut right under the buttons, and then it has a sleeve detail with embroidery, and then the voluminous pants that Louis Vuitton's been doing a lot. I like the pants a lot, actually. I think the fit of the pant looks good. And then he's wearing like a classic derby shoe. Overall, his look was like, it was fine. It was just like a matching tailored suit. Wasn't my personal, like it didn't wow me, but it wasn't like a total snooze either. You know what I mean? Like there was enough detail to make it look somewhat interesting, but yeah, like overall, it was like okay, like it was lukewarm. I'll give it like a 7 out of 10 for BamBam's look, you know? And then finally moving on to J-Hope. You guys, I'm gonna be so honest, you guys, like I'm not loving J-Hope's look at all. I feel like the overall vibe of J-Hope's look, for me at least, was that it really felt kind of like an afterthought. I don't really feel like it was a cohesive look at all. It just kind of felt like, it almost felt as if he wasn't like confirmed to attend the show, or like he didn't know if he was gonna attend the show, or like have time to attend the show. And then by the time he got to the fitting, there wasn't that many pieces left because he just like looks like he wore like a random mishmash of pieces, if you know what I mean, like if that makes sense. So he wore, okay, first thing that I really feel like took his outfit like really left that was not my favorite at all was the fact that he wore this bucket hat. I just feel like that was not, I don't know, it just was not doing it for me. It almost made it too casual. It covered up basically most of his face and his eyes. It was not, like, I don't know, I just feel like the hat was a mistake, first of all. The shirt he wore, I actually really like this kind of like damier, kind of like denim, distorted effect t-shirt, or like, not t-shirt, like a button-up shirt. That looked like a really interesting shirt, actually. I really like the texture of the shirt. I like the fit of the shirt. That looked really nice. I wish they could have found a way to like build his outfit around the shirt to make it look better. It's like more like accentuated. But then he wore this kind of like plain t-shirt or like tank top underneath. Necklaces, like this kind of like Louis Vuitton logo belt. And then the jeans, I don't know, the jeans were just like very whatever. It didn't really give anything too like spectacular. But overall his look, I feel like, I don't know, you guys. It just was not, it was not my favorite on him. I feel like they definitely could have done way more, especially for his like the caliber of his fame. It just did not match at all. It just really felt like a last minute like mishmash of different pieces. And then he wore the little speedy bag, which I actually really like a lot. But yeah, like overall, I don't know. Like what do you guys think? Like be honest, you guys. Be honest in the comments. What did you think of J-Hope's look? It was not my favorite. But it was fun that in the show itself, J-Hope and Don Oliver like previewed a song in the show, which is cool. Like it's sounding very promising. I can't wait for its release. Like it sounds really good. But the thing is, you guys, like I feel like for this Louis Vuitton show in general, I just feel like the song idea was, I actually really like the song idea. I think it was the right idea, but at the wrong time. Because I feel like in terms of the show itself, it felt like a little bit of like a more maybe like, I don't know, I personally didn't think, I don't know, I just feel like the show wasn't really well received. And that's the thing with Louis Vuitton shows I've noticed, is that I feel like the way people like at home and like out from the outside see the show is very different than how people at the show perceive it. I feel like everyone who went to the show was very like, oh, like the show has such great energy, blah, blah, it was great, this and that. I feel like they're able, because they attend the show in person, they get to experience it, they get to feel a different kind of energy, which kind of like makes them receive the collection or like the collection a little bit more, as opposed to like when we're at home or when we're like not at the show, we're watching the show, and it felt a little bit more underwhelming, in my opinion. I feel like at home we also don't really get to experience the music the same way people that attend the show get to feel it. So you know what I mean? So in my opinion, the show wasn't the most like wow show, you know what I mean? I feel like it was just like a kind of like a lukewarm show, in my opinion. I feel like I didn't really like get to feel it the same way people were describing it, or the people that attended the show that were describing it, you know what I mean? I just didn't buy it, you know? Like, so in that sense, I feel like I wish they, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. I was about to say, like, I feel like I wish they would have debuted the song or played the song at a more spectacular show, like a stronger show. You know what I mean? But yeah, like I just feel like overall to play the track that J-Hope made for the Louis Vuitton show, but like the Louis Vuitton show in my mind being like not like the greatest show. I don't know. It just wasn't, I don't know. Like I just feel like I would have wished it would have been presented in like a better situation, if that makes sense to you guys. But yeah, like overall the show, the thing with the show is that like this is going off on a tangent a little bit. I feel like what I was missing from the show is that I feel like there was no, the thing with Pharrell's Louis Vuitton is that they didn't really present a silhouette. I don't really feel like they're showing a silhouette. It's just like a kind of like a mishmash of random pieces. And this season, like Nigo worked on it as well with Pharrell. Like they co-designed the show together, which is cool. Like there were definitely some pieces that I really, really liked. For example, I really like the pants, like the kind of like fit and flare pant, like that kind of like more, like kind of like formal material suit pants, but in like a very contemporary shape that I really like. I actually really like the pants a lot, but other than that, the show was just kind of like a mishmash of random things that I just don't really feel like was like cohesive or like was trying to present a silhouette, you know what I mean? But yeah, like I just feel like I feel like that's the big thing with Louis Vuitton shows, is that the way the show is experienced and the way the show is absorbed, I feel like out of all the shows is very different if you're at the show and if you're not at the show, you know what I mean? Compared to other brands, where some brands you can feel like it's kind of the same. When you see the collection, it feels the same as that are present feeling it. But at Louis Vuitton, I feel like being at the show itself really alters the state that you perceive the collection, whereas like other shows maybe not necessarily like that. So this time it was kind of like more lukewarm to me, and overall the show, even though there was a lot of K-pop idols in attendance, it was like very fun in that aspect. Overall, the rest of the show was kind of just like meh to me, you know what I mean? But yeah, like what you guys think of the show? What do you guys think of Jackson Wang's look, BamBam's look, or J-Hope's look? Which one is your favorite? I think for me, honestly, like I feel like I didn't really have any favorites of their looks, you know what I mean? Like I feel like if any of the looks, I like elements of each of the looks, but none of the looks really like wowed me, you know? But yeah, like that's the Louis Vuitton show. I don't know, like I just feel like I talked about the Louis Vuitton for so long, but yeah, let me know what you thought of that show. Okay, that was my very yapathon review and recap of the men's fashion month between Paris and Milan. Let me know what you guys thought of all the looks in the comments. Whose look was your favorite? Whose look was a flop? Who looked really hot? Who looked really not? Let me know. As always, you guys, I really need you guys to be honest in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content, more videos like this about the world of K-pop and fashion. Anyways, I'm back now, you guys, I promise.